All right, so in this video, I want to show you what we're doing for 6.5 for at least part of the lesson. Let me share my screen. So when we are looking and working on 6.5, what we're trying to do is take the average of all of the differences for each of these pairings. So we'll go over this in class on the motivation for like why we're doing this, but I want to show you how to get the average. Now, the average you can get just from your calculator, but there's also a step where they're asking for the standard deviation for these differences. And that's a very tedious formula. So we're going to have StatKey do it for us. So here's the numbers that I'm going to be putting in. This 08, 0, 10, 07, 08, all 12 of these. And where you're going to want to go to do this is when the very first thing we ever used for StatKey, which is the one quantitative variable. And when you click this, we're going to be editing our own data. So you'll click this and it's going to have by default whatever was the data set that first was listed. But all I did was just highlight all of that and delete it. We also don't have a column or row identifier. But here's where we're going to put those values in: the 0.08, 0.08. And then what I'm doing is I'm hitting enter so that the StatKey knows that I'm moving on to the second value. The next difference is 0.10, 0.10, enter. And then we're going to go through this carefully. 07, 08, 0.07, 0.08. Just be careful to type 010 and 011. So 010 and 011. And then we got 05, 05 that repeats twice. 05, 05. And then the next one I saw was an 06. And then just a few more here. 08, 05, 08. And believe me, as long as it's taking me a little bit of time to do this, but not as long if you were to try to do it with the standard deviation formula. So there should be all the values in there. Again, turn off these two boxes and then click OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to run through finding the average for you, which again, you can do this part by yourself with the calculator. 0.077. Notice that that's the average of the differences. And then also the standard deviation is here, 0.022. And these two are going to be important pieces as we see in the lesson for calculating your standard error, your confidence interval, your t-test statistic. But this is the part I want to show you because in your homework, you'll need to do this for yourself. Let me show you another example here in the lecture where we're going to do this. Down here, we're going to do this example as well, where we're going to have calculated all of the differences for these test scores before and after. And then when you get to this step, when it's asking for the average of the differences, this again, something you can do in your calculator. But this part is something that's very tedious if you use the standard deviation formula. We saw it once in a PowerPoint, but it's just time consuming. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have StatKey do it. So these are all of the values that I'm going to put in here. There should be 10 of them. But we also need to include this 0 because they need to know that there's 10 numbers that we're doing. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go back to the edit data, or maybe I'll show you how do we get here? We went to one quantitative variable, edit data, click in here or do Control All or Option All, whatever you need for your computer to get rid of all that. Turn these boxes off and then slowly start to put these numbers in. We're taking the average or the standard deviation of this bottom row here, the differences. So 17, 5, 7, 15, 25. Just hit enter every time to know that it's a new value. So 15, 25, 23, 9, And then there's a -3. So make sure to put that minus sign there. And then we've got 11. And then even though it doesn't seem very important, it is important to let us know that these are 10 different values, one of them being 0. Then click OK. And it should over here do all the work for us. It took the average of the differences, which was 10.9. And that we've got that here. And then more importantly, it's got the standard deviation of 9.219. And you'll see that right here on the third row, 9.219. And so these are the two different numbers that we're going to be using as we start working down through these other examples. But you'll do something similar again for your homework. So I just wanted to make sure to show you that there is a way for StatKey to calculate the standard deviation for us. But there you go. Again, just using your one quantitative variable and edit the data. So I hope this helps as you're working with your 6.5 homework.